Every day there's something new on this walk. It's just the way that it is. And you know, the lack of superfluousness in my life and the saturation of meaning has given me a unique perspective on the way that I view the world. And I really feel as though right now I'm just plugged into the source of creation, to God himself, and I needed to make this video because I think a lot of people are going to be able to resonate with this. And the reason being is because the nonchalant silent person, specifically the nonchalant silent man, he's going to be hearing everything and seeing everything, and you might not even know it. And you know this because you're probably that person. I don't really think that many people understand the levels on which we're at when we know how to be calm, cool, collected in our parasympathetic state, in our nervous system. There are two types of nervous system really in the body, right? There's the sympathetic nervous system, and then there's the parasympathetic nervous system. If you're in your sympathetic nervous system, you're always responding to the fight or flight. And in your parasympathetic nervous system, you are in your calm, digestive state. And this is where a lot of meditators, people that have done psychological analysis and studies on people who meditate, they operate more within their parasympathetic nervous system. And it doesn't take much meditation, just 10 to 20 minutes a day. And I myself have been meditating every day for over 6 years. And some days I do 10 minutes, some days I'll do 30 minutes. There have been times where I go hours and hours. It's not very often, but I do that. And it's allowed me to be more calm. It's allowed me to be more grounded in myself. And nothing really phases me anymore. You know, nothing really attacks me in the sense of where I know that I'm not going to be able to handle certain things. And you know, some people, like I've had moments in the past where even just a few months ago, like I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to handle certain things going on in my life at that point. And it's just like, man, is this worth it? You know, it's not like I can't handle it, but it's just, I want an ROI. I'm to the point now to where I'm investing my attention, I'm investing my attention, I'm investing my time. I'm not spending my time, I'm not paying attention anymore. I think these are subliminal psychological messages that you subconsciously get stuck in your mind. And I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to live like that anyway. I want to live like investing. I want an ROI. With the women in my life, I want to make sure that I'm getting an ROI. And I don't really care how exactly that looks like. I want results. I just want to make sure that, you know, people are around me, especially the woman that's going to be in my life, is doing what they say they're going to do. It shouldn't be that difficult. But the thing is like, I know things come up, right? I know things happen. I know things are going to be, you know, life happens. But if you make a commitment, I take seriously that commitment. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, if you say you're going to do something, by golly, unless there's a significant bump in the road, you better do it. And I live my life this way. And when I don't do the things that I say I'm going to do, I can feel my masculinity like erode. You know, I can feel, I'm sure the men that are watching this can understand this. They feel like their masculinity erodes when they say, oh, I'm going to do this, and then they don't. Oh, I'm going to do that, and then they don't. Sometimes you just need to take action. And we were finishing up the class series for the Prince today in the Regal Change Academy. And we talked a little bit about this, how you need to listen to the inner retard when you do certain things. The nonchalant silent man listens to the inner retard, okay? The nonchalant silent man will listen to the inner retard because he knows that he doesn't need to think too much about what's going on around him. He can just sense what's happening. He's instinctual. He's basing his life based on his intuition and his instincts. He's moving in accordance to nature. Because if you're in tune with nature, like one of the reasons I go out into nature to do these videos sometimes, even though it's just, in my backyard, the reason that I like to be, surrounded by the trees and such, or I go on walks and whatnot, I go on hikes, the reason that I do this is because I know that I'm going to be in tune with nature. The more I'm with nature, the more I can be in tune with nature, because I too am a part of nature. I'm not an artificial intelligence. I'm not like, humans are not meant to be on the screen so much. We're just not. Now, like I'm filming this through my phone right now, right? I have a screen like that I'm looking at the lens, really, the camera lens, because I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking at the screen. But it's also kind of strange to me. Like, I don't know sometimes where to look when making videos, because sometimes I think better when I'm just wandering my eyes and I'm looking around and I'm looking at the tree branches over here and I'm studying them and I'm looking at the details in the leaves, and sometimes it just inspires me to be more in the moment and be present. But other times it's almost as though I need to be really focused right here, and I need to be looking at you guys through the camera to make sure you guys are feeling seen, even though, it's through the camera, right? And it can be kind of strange for some people to do this, but I think that being capable of relaxing into yourself, don't stress too much about things. Life doesn't need to be so stressful. Life doesn't need to be so complicated. But what life does need is for you to want to... It's not like because a man needs will, but a woman needs willingness. So the man needs to be able to push, and the woman needs to be able to receive. Because that's just how we are biologically as well, right? And women that are able to be in that receptive state, have you ever noticed that women that are more receptive and calm and agreeable, they usually have this aura about them that they themselves can see everything. Like, nothing gets past these people. Nothing gets past the woman who is calm, cool, and collected in her femininity. And in the same way, a man who's kind of disagreeable, he's not always going to agree with you, but he's not going to be rude about it. He's just going to disagree. And the man that's also, maybe lifting heavy weights or doing some kind of form of athletic exercise, he's going out, he's building things, he's doing something, he's creating something. That's the kind of man that you're going to feel at ease around, even though there's that masculine edge to him. That edge is going to be ingrained in your dynamic around this man. And the man himself is just being a force of nature, because the nonchalant man, the nonchalant silent man, is a force of nature, man. He is a force of nature in the most unpredictable way. He's so unpredictable, and yet it's not necessarily an unpredictableness that people are intimidated by. It's the spontaneity. It's just the mere audacity of him just being able to let his balls hang and be who he is. This is something that I've been thinking a lot about. It's like, men are so afraid to be who they are. Men are afraid to be who they are. Because we're catered to, or we're trained to be catering, rather, to others all the time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being gentle or having an understanding of empathy at all. Like, that's not wrong at all. It's not wrong to have compassion at all. And in fact, you'll get to the point in your masculinity that you can afford to be gentle because you know that you're strong. You don't need to come off as the tough guy, because you know that if shit hits the fan, you're going to be okay. you follow God. You have your principles. You have proper relationships. You know how to maintain relationships. You know how to bring people together. You know how to chill. You're not always trying to do things just to do things. You're just living your life and letting the flow of nature flow through you. And when you do that, you're plugged into the source. You're plugged into God. And you become this vessel for nature to reveal and manifest itself however it needs to reveal or manifest itself. It's truly a beautiful thing. But I think many guys specifically, they get caught up with the concerns of how they would be perceived by others. And I know what it's like, because I'm not trying to degrade these people. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel as though you need to people please in order to feel safe. And that's not the way that it is as a man. As a man, we're meant to be wild. We're meant to be free, man. We're meant to get out there and make things happen in the world. And something that we talked a little bit more about in The Prince as well is Machiavelli. His conclusion is, we were talking about luck. We were talking about how luck is, from Machiavelli's point of view, it's about 50% of your life is going to be based on luck. You can only really create about 50% of your life. Like, you only have control of about 50% of your life. And the other 50% is going to be based entirely on luck. And he calls it the problem of luck. But because it is a factor. And he says that there's going to be times in life where you're going to have to be a little bit more impulsive. And then there are other times in life when you're going to have to be a little bit more cautious. But he believes that the most practical way to go about life is to be more impulsive and to be more inclined to impulsivity. Not because you're trying to be reckless, not because you're trying to be like crazy or you're trying to go mad. It's just that you recognize that time in this life is very limited. I don't know how many days. How many days do people have normally? Like, if the average person lives to be, I don't know, 65, 70 years old. I don't know what the average like lifespan is actually, but 65 or 70 years old, let's say. That's pretty conservative. But 65, 70 years old, how many days is that? What's 365.25, because of the leap year every 4 years, times 65 or 70. Somebody can do the math in the comments there. That's how many days roughly you have, okay? That's what? That can't be a lot. That can't be like more or less than 30,000. It's not going to be too many. Maybe 25 to 30,000 days. Do you know how fast those days go? I'm 28. I'm going to be 29 next month. Do you know how fast my 20s have gone? Do you know how quickly I've had to learn to be nonchalant and just move in silence, because I know that I don't want to speak about things until I have the results. I don't want to even justify things or make things seem like I have things, whatever, until I have the results. I learned this the hard way. I learned this the very difficult way. And sometimes God will put us in difficult situations and difficult routes, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to ingrain and take away what we're supposed to learn from the situation. But you don't have that many days, dude, or woman, whoever's watching this. You don't have that many days. You just don't. And you've got to be a little bit impulsive sometimes. It's not about recklessness. It's not about being risky for no reason. It's about being calculated in your risk taking and preparing for anything. But you got to lean on that impulsivity a little bit. You got to listen to the inner retard. You've got to go for it, man. Stop thinking about it and just be. This is in a weird way what a nonchalant man that is silent does. He just bees. He's the bee's knees. He's the bee's knees for a reason, because he just is. He is who he is. And nothing gets past this man. Nothing gets past him. He sees everything. And it's important to know why you need to move in silence sometimes. And it's because you don't have very many days, and you cannot afford to not be a little bit risky every now and again. But I think, I just wanted to come through with a quick message here. I hope everybody is having a blessed day, and I hope this message was edifying or eye-opening in one way, shape, or form or another. I hope that everybody stays blessed and is peaceful. And, I don't know exactly. I haven't looked too much at the news today to see what was going on with all of the protests or whatever happening throughout the country, in the United States, that is. I haven't seen anything just yet as far as the news, so I'm assuming nothing crazy has happened too much, so praise God for that. But, I think we're going to be okay. I'm not worried about, like people have been talking about civil war and such, and I think that it's possible. I think civil war is possible. I think war is entirely possible, of course, like with Israel and Iran and all that, like that stuff going down. I think, that stuff is going to escalate, but for the time being, life is pretty good. And I think we need to just focus on what we have and appreciate what we have. So, with all that being said, peace be with you all. Until next time.